In addition to state and local taxes being too high, our utility costs are too high. Our transportation system is inadequate. So we do have to confront these obstacles. But at the same time, we need targeted economic help as well. You know, the Buffalo News said the other day that anyone who thinks that upstate doesn't need targeted economic help is orbiting another planet. I agree with that, because what I have laid forth in my economic plan for upstate is a way to use tax credits to stimulate business, to expand the high-tech industry that is coming to the Buffalo Bite Belt and other places in upstate, and to be sure that we have in place the workforce training and job development capacity to fill the jobs that are going to be there in the future. So I don't think you can pull out any one particular issue and say that is the problem. There's a whole range of issues that we have to address, and that's what I've tried to do in the plan that I've put forth, that I have talked about for many, many months as I've traveled around the state, and it's based on what I'm told by people in business and labor and the public sector, academia, folks that I meet and talk with everywhere.
Could you urge scrutiny of some of these things I mentioned, despite the backing of public employees?
Well, I think everybody in upstate wants to do what will work to turn the economy around. And I've set forth my ideas. I'm open to any other ideas from the mayor or anyone else. And what I want everyone to know is that I will use my 30 years of experience, my last 8 years in the White House, to bring to bear not just the votes that I cast or the speeches I make on the floor of the Senate. I'll be using every thing at my disposal to try to be an effective partner to help create jobs and turn the economy around upstate.
Mr. Lazio, response?
Well, I have to go back to Mrs. Clinton's last remark because it has to redefine the word chutzpah. Mrs. Clinton, you, of all people, shouldn't try to make guilt by association. Newt Gingrich isn't running in this race. I'm running in this race. Let's talk about my record. In this case, let me tell you, one of the most important issues that New York has right now is addressing what Daniel Patrick Moynihan calls a shortfall, a deficit. Every year we send $15 billion a year more to Washington than we get back. And it's at its worst point ever under this administration. Let's lower taxes. Let's deregulate energy. Let's make sure we address the critical issues of transportation, like expanding Route 17 to I-86. And let's build on my work in Congress already to get the job done.
Bob, a question for Congressman Lazio. Yes, welcome to you also, Mr. Lazio. You recently unveiled here in Buffalo your plan for economic development in upstate New York, based mostly on tax cuts. But in some of your recent statements to the Buffalo News on the upstate economy, you seem to downplay the magnitude of the problem, emphasizing instead the improving overall job creation numbers, an upstate economy that's turning around, and renewed optimism. Are you really that satisfied with the condition of the upstate economy that you have no specific proposals targeted toward here? Are you satisfied with statistics showing upstate to be now 38th in the nation in job creation? Is the problem solved as far as you're concerned? And in addition, are you simply towing the line of your allies in the Pataki administration who make similar claims?
Let me say, first of all, I do believe that the upstate economy has turned the corner. I think my opponent would like people to believe that upstate is a vast economic wasteland. It is not. As a matter of fact, there's been great progress. And one of the reasons why this region in Erie, I think, elected Joel Giambra as the new county executive is because he ran on a platform of creating a better climate for jobs and for lower taxes. That's what this upstate economy needs. It also needs new partnerships, alliances, something that I've been doing down in Long Island, creating technology incubators, building on our assets in the upstate economy, which is our national labs, like in Rome, or our colleges and universities, making sure that we build good partnerships and a first-class educational system. But it doesn't happen because of a lot of talk. It happens because you've got the ability to get the job done. Do I think there's more work to be done? Absolutely. Do I think we're on the right path? Absolutely. Do I think I'd be a good partner for George Pataki and for people that have actually made a difference in turning some of these regions around? You betcha. And I reject the idea that I think is a terrible image for the rest of the country and the rest of the state that somehow the upstate economy is on its knees. It's not. It does need more help. We need to address the family farms. And you know, one way we can do that is to get New York into the dairy compact. something that my opponent's husband's administration bitterly opposes.
But how do you address the fact that 45,000 people have left Erie County in the past 10 years?
One of the things you can do is to begin to address the issue of taxation. And I think we've started to do that. George Pataki started to do that. We need to do that more at the federal level. We need to make sure that people don't pay taxes on top of income that they've already been paid taxes on. We need to make sure that businesses understand that they're incentivized to invest in themselves. And we need to focus, and as I do in my economic plan, my tax plan, Bob, and I reference you to that we do focus on creating more jobs through internet access and also by building partnerships with the state of New York, a $1,000 tax credit for every job created, over 20 jobs for new businesses. And those are targeted to the upstate economy.
Mrs. Clinton, your response.
Well, again, I just have to point out that the Buffalo News, which has done a very good series of articles about the problems in the upstate economy, refer to my opponent as orbiting another planet, because I have now spent countless hours talking to parents who tell me with tears in their eyes that their children had to leave upstate, leave their hometowns, because there weren't jobs for them. I want to help address that, not ignore it, not put happy talk on it, and I have a plan to do that. But I also am committed to making sure we continue the national prosperity, which my opponent's plan, like George Bush's, I think would blow apart, because their large, risky tax schemes, combined with their ideas about privatizing Social Security, would use up all the surplus and prevent us from making the investments we should.
Next question is from Scott Levin of WGR's ETV2 in Buffalo.
Thank you, Tim. Good evening, Mrs. Clinton. Here in Buffalo, as I'm sure you are aware, union teachers are illegally on strike at this moment. The school board is strapped for funds, and both parents and students are caught right in the middle. Mrs. Clinton, the teachers' unions have endorsed you. Does that mean that you support their current job action, even though it's illegal under New York's Taylor Law?
Well, I am hoping that they're, as we speak, negotiating and will be back in the classroom full-time without any other problems. The children deserve that, and we need to get education started this year. I'm very much committed to doing everything I can to move the education agenda forward. And I do support the idea that the teachers should be working, and their action against the Taylor Law is illegal, and I do not believe that that's appropriate. But the larger issue is, what are we going to do about education? And I have put forth an education plan that is based on my years of working to reform and improve education. And I have very specific proposals about lowering classroom size, getting more qualified teachers into the classroom, starting a national teacher corps to recruit young people. If they're willing to teach, they would get a scholarship, as well as some mid-career people that I would like to see perhaps go into teaching with some incentives. I support the 100,000 teachers from the federal government, which my opponent has opposed, which I don't understand, because we need those teachers in New York. I also support modernizing our schools with the construction bonds that are a bipartisan piece of legislation that would be such a help to us, because we could deal with our repair and construction challenges without having to raise property taxes. So from standards that I support to accountability measures that I have long supported, I have a record on education that I believe I could take to the Senate and put to good use.
Mr. Lazio.
I agree that Mrs. Clinton has got a record on education, and it's a disaster. She wasn't responsible for educational changes in Arkansas, and you know what happened? Spending went up, taxes went up, student performance went down. As a matter of fact, it was so bad that it was at the bottom of all states. Now, I don't think we need that Little Rock record in the Big Apple. We need teacher testing. We need to help teachers to pass that test. We need to set high standards for our children, because we want the best for them. We can't defend the status quo as my opponent does, but we've got to embrace new ideas, high standards, and expect the most from our families, our students, our teachers, and our teachers.
Scott's specific question is, should the teachers be allowed to strike even though it's against the law?
No, I am opposed to teachers striking where it is against the law. In this case, it has been deemed illegal. They need to get back into the classroom, and we should put as our first priority teaching our children.
Mr. Lazio, welcome to Buffalo as well.
Yes, Scott, good to be back.
Every single day of the week, thousands of Americans are crossing the border into Niagara Falls, Canada, to spend millions of their dollars at the local casino. This results in an economic boom for the Canadian economy, and an economic bust for Niagara Falls, New York. Furthermore, just 2 days ago, another billion-dollar casino project, that's B,